while since we posted a video, so we wanted to provide an update. First off, we're in the car because it is like supposed to be 115 today. The trailer stays pretty alright, but here, peak part of the day, it gets really hot. So we figured we'd take the kids all out, go for a drive. AC in the car is really good. We'd get some Sonic, get some slushes, help keep us cool. So while we're driving, we figured we'd talk a little bit about what we've been doing since our last video. Maybe it's been a while since we posted. So one thing that we wanted to do while living in the the RV, the travel trailer, was get our excursion in order for good condition, I should say, for driving across the country. So I guess it's important to talk a little bit about why we bought the excursion. I liked that the excursion, when I was looking around going, all right, do I want a truck? Do we want an SUV? Do we want gas? Do we want diesel? What are we looking for? What do we need? I liked that the excursion was, I think they say it's got more cargo space than like a Suburban, if you do like a comparison. I liked some of the Econoline vans and the big cargo vans, even GMC vans, but the towing capacity was something we had to take into consideration there. Considering we were looking for a little bit of a larger trailer, we wanted something that could tow upwards of 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 pounds on the easier side, and less modifications we'd have to do for that.
Part of the reason we went with an excursion versus a truck is we got 4 kids, all in car seats or booster seats of some kind, plus we got 2 dogs. So we got to make sure we have room for everybody.
Well, and if you think about some of the newer SUVs, like could we have gone with like an Excursion or Armadas or some of those things? Those are pretty decent. The one advantage when we were looking at the Excursion was we got 4 kids. They've all got plenty of space between them, and we got the 2 dogs in here. And so any of the newer vehicles, I shouldn't say any, but for the price range, the size, it just made a little bit more sense to go with something this big. Like the Excursion, Suburbans are both pretty good in my eyes. So then I started doing some analysis on gas or diesel, looking at some of the things that can happen watching other YouTube videos and things that happen on the side of the road or along the road. I thought, I've got a little bit more experience with gas engines. I have no experience with diesels. So if something happens that maybe I have a chance of being able to get under the hood and try and figure out or rig something up to get us, out of the middle of the road, then at least that's a little bit of an advantage.
Not to mention, finding a diesel mechanic in the middle of nowhere is a lot more difficult than finding a regular mechanic that can run on non-diesels.
And to that point, I think it's also a little bit easier to find gasoline gas stations versus diesel gas stations. I haven't been across the country, so I can't say for sure. That one's a little bit of an assumption there, but that's why we chose the Excursion. So I did decide I wanted the V10 versus the 5.4 liter. A little beefier. Everybody says that they do really well with towing. So we just found this 2002 Excursion with 112,000 miles. It was pretty clean, 4-wheel drive. So we fell in love with it. Really clean, really good condition, low miles. Decent price. It was probably a little bit more than we wanted to pay, but
There's another one Tesla's right now.
oh yeah. In the condition it was in, it was worth it. So now that we bought it, we were trying to figure out, okay, what do we need to do to it to make sure it's roadworthy? So I've been doing some fluid flushes, so drain the transmission fluid, make sure that's in good shape, put a transmission cooler on it so that in the desert I can make sure that it's running good temperatures, and I got my my ultra gauge here, so I'm kind of keeping an eye on the engine coolant and the transmission temps around town, knowing what's normal, what's not normal. Put new brake lines on it because I was a little concerned about the braking seemed a little slower than I wanted. I think that's kind of a common thing with the Excursions. So I put some brake lines on it, then did a brake fluid flush. Of course, we did an oil change. It had spark plugs done at the dealership who sold it. So just kind of going through those things. I think there's a little bit more I might still do as far as power steering flush. But just making sure it's roadworthy. We've had it checked out 2 or 3 different places. And the one mechanic I took it to said clean as a whistle. And the one mechanic friend that we took it to also said great condition. If you're a little bit concerned about something, you might look at putting new steering gear in it, but for its age and its condition, it's in really good shape, and you should be fine towing something without having any problems. So we'll put a little bit of money aside just in case, but we feel pretty confident that it's roadworthy and ready to go across the country.
It's haul ready.
Yes, haul ready. So, our Excursion's pretty much ready to go. Next, we're going to start working through talking about, I guess, plans, when we'll get on the road, and I'm going to go ahead and we're pulling up, so I'll stop and we'll pick up where we talk about what our plans are. Alright, so now we're home. Everybody's fed, happy, watching TV. We can continue talking. So, our plans. I'll let you kind of pick up from there.
Yeah, so we have been parked in an RV park in Phoenix for 2 months. We are planning on being here at least until the beginning of August. So kind of the plan is, tentatively, we would like to set sail early August, and we are going to head towards the Ozarks. We think this is probably going to be a good region for us. We've never been there, so we'll have to see when we get there. But we do follow a few different people on YouTube, like Roots and Refuge is over in Arkansas, northern Arkansas. I have a connection through my aunt in southern Missouri, so we can always park on her property if we need to. But we kind of want to explore that area, see if it's a good place for us. We've looked at growing seasons, we've looked at average snowfall.
We've actually charted a lot of different areas in Excel, kind of tried scoring them out and go, okay, who's got better income tax rates, sales taxes, property taxes, good weather, snow time of the year,
cost of living all around, property costs, off-grid friendliness. So a lot of states don't allow you to have water catchment systems, and a lot of them don't allow you to sell your electricity back to the grid and earn money off of your solar. So some states allow that, and they'll buy your energy, which is cool. It's a great way to, I guess, make that a little more affordable, subsidize that cost a little bit.
Anyway, we put together a whole bunch of different areas that we thought were ideal areas to move to, affordable land and stuff. And so Missouri, Arkansas seems pretty high on the list.
Yep.
We really like the idea of North Carolina, but after ranking, it kind of falls a little bit lower on the list.
A lot lower than I was hoping. But homeschooling is a big thing for us, and I like having freedom to do what we want with homeschooling and learn what we want to learn. And the Ozarks all around are going to be a new area for us. So there's a lot of exploring for us to do, getting outside and just seeing all the state parks in Missouri and Arkansas. Like, that's going to be awesome. And the cost of land there is really reasonable. So it's something that we can do. Hopefully we can pay cash for land if it has a house on it or septic or well or anything like that. Then hopefully we can cash flow everything else and be mortgage free and live there. We have an RV. We've been living here for 2 months. It's been going okay, and I think if we need to park it on some land while we figure out our next steps, so be it. So the next step is that we are going to kind of pack up what we got, minimize what's in the trailer so it doesn't weigh so much, and
so
get going.
Some background too. I think we had initially kind of talked about waiting until the early part of next year, and after living here for the last 2 months, watching the coronavirus kind of play out a little bit, getting a feel for what day-to-day looks like in here, different factors, we really kind of agonized, I'd say, over what's the best decision for us.
Yeah.
And we think, you know, I feel like I saw it earlier today, hindsight is 2020.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the best decision. It does feel like the best decision right now. I think one thing you kind of wanted to talk about is day-to-day. How does it feel like in here? How do the kids do? I don't know if you want to pipe in with that.
Yeah, so right now we live in approximately just under 300 square feet of space. That's all 6 of us and the 2 dogs. And with coronavirus happening, it's hard to get out to parks because a lot of them here in Arizona, we have this huge spike of cases of coronavirus. So all of the city parks are closed down. We can't go to any splash pads, which is normally our summer go-to when it's 110 degrees, getting 4 kids who are active. We typically would go to the splash pad and hang out there for a couple hours and play with other kids and meet with other homeschool families and do activities and go to the zoo, and a lot of our life happens outside, and right now we can't do a lot of those activities. So with it being so hot and not being able to go do those activities, we're pretty much stuck inside all day in the RV. So that's been a little bit trying just because he's also working from home full-time. So that really limits the amount of space we're able to use anyways, because he needs his privacy and he needs to be on conference calls. And it's great that he even has a job, especially with what's going on right now. A lot of people don't have that luxury. So we are very grateful that Dave's able to work from home. But that does make it a little bit harder. So kind of the goal with us heading out sooner than March, our goal was to hang out here until March, and then that would give us time to make it through the holidays, you know, be in Arizona during the nice time of year so we can get out and do things. But coronavirus is making that all pretty difficult. So yeah, part of the reason we want to get going earlier is so that we can explore those state parks in Missouri and Arkansas. We can go for long drives to see different properties that we might find interesting. All around, we're just going to be able to get out a little bit more. And if we decide to park on someone's property, we got these friends that have a bunch of land that is very secluded. We know we can at least get out and about on that property.
On a
big piece of property.
You've got room for social distancing.
A river that runs through it so we can go swimming. Like, it's kind of ideal. It's a little bit, it's way off grid, but it allows us the ability to get out and exercise and have fun and not have to worry about masking up and being around other people that might get us sick. So,
and we don't totally know that that'll pan out. That's one of the few things that we're still looking at,
yeah,
and we'll be working on over the next few weeks as we plan. What are our stops along the way? Are we going to take a whole week off and just, you know, get there? Are we going to take a 3-day weekend here or there and kind of slowly bounce our way there, or what? So that'll be one thing we'll work out down the road a little bit.
One of the deciding factors with that is Dave needs to work. So we don't want to take weeks of PTO. That's just not even an option to take weeks of it. But if we drive to our first stop and we stay there for a week, we need to make sure that there's sufficient internet for him to work from home at that stop. So those are things that we are taking into consideration. We can't stop and boondock somewhere for a week because we might not get reception on our Verizon hotspot for him to work. So those are just some of the struggles that we've been dealing with trying to figure out whether
when we need to go, whether it be August or whether we wait till March. But I think the coronavirus is playing a big role in that. Us realizing that we do want to be a little bit more secluded than we are, because we are still very much in Phoenix. We're kind of in northern Phoenix or outskirts of Phoenix or whatever, but we are around a lot of people, and there's a lot of, we can't do anything without going near people. So we just kind of want to hang out by ourselves for a little bit. I think that'll be nice, and get out of the heat, because it's 115.
Dry heat.
Dry heat,
still.
but I mean it's 10% humidity, which some people might be like, oh, that's great, but that kind of heat makes our skin dry and crack, and it makes it hard to breathe, and our dogs are having issues breathing because it's so hot, and we can't take them for walks. All around, we want to get out of the heat. We want to go explore, and I want to get my garden planted, get some chickens. I want to start eating healthier and growing our own stuff. So
yeah, I definitely kind of go, well, crap, I'm getting old enough now. I want to get this on the road sooner rather than later. If it takes us some time to find the right piece of land and figure out what are we going to live in, do we need to build a house, you know, those all kind of come before kind of the homestead kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's a priority, and the longer we wait, I feel like the more challenging it'll be. And so the sooner the better.
Yeah. Our RV is equipped with cold weather, like a cold weather package. So it is meant to be in colder climates. It's not meant to be in 115. Although these AC units are helpful, it's just there's no insulation to protect us from that heat. But it does have that cold weather package, and we can put skirting on it, things like that, to weatherize it, winterize it. So when we get to Missouri, we can park it in an RV park and hang out there, pretty much do what we're doing here, but there, and at least we can go explore.
That was, you know, one other thing that we were kind of considering, although, you know, it may not play a big factor, was we really wanted to make it to Virginia for the Homesteaders of America conference in October, if it still happens. Now the coronavirus has peaked. We don't anticipate...
I don't see it happening, but...
And even if it does, it may not be worth banking on.
Right.
But it was another factor that we thought, well, let's get ourselves closer in case we decide it does work out and it's a good idea.
Because at least landing in southern Missouri, which is where we plan on kind of going to and settling for now, it's a 2-day drive. If we just do the drive in our excursion and we stay in a hotel when we get there, or with family or friends or whatever, because I do have family in Virginia. So if we decide to go, it's a 2-day drive. It's super easy. Just load everybody up and go. If it doesn't happen, okay. We just continue our search for our property and continue doing what we were already doing. So, and we hope that next year it does happen. So that's where we are at, and it's taken us along a lot of discussion and a lot of racking our brains to figure out what the best way to do this is. And
it's hard to come to terms with, like, all right, bye family, we're leaving soon.
Sooner than we planned. But I think we need to do this. I think the longer we sit here, the more, or the less motivation we have to continue moving.
The more this will feel like a new norm, and it'll again be hard for us to kind of break out of our zone and really push ourselves to try something new and explore, push our comfort zones, make changes. And then it's good for the kids too, because they get sort of used to this norm, and they need, you know, playtime.
They need excitement, newness. So this will be a good thing, I think, for us. And you know, it's hard to know whether you made the right decision. We'll know in a couple of years whether this was the right decision or not. We'll know in a year whether this was a good decision. It's a good decision, but I think it's the right decision for us right now. And we're excited about it. So
yeah, that's our update. We're leaving soon.
We'll try and keep you updated on maybe anything that we need, what all we're doing to wrap up so that we're ready for the road.
I think there's going to be a lot of videos in the next couple weeks of us nailing down where we're going to be staying along the way, how quickly we plan this trip to take, what the timeline is, the city that we plan on settling in, things like that. So all those updates will be to come, but this is so far the next step.
August.
August.
Here it comes. Bye.
Bye.